Millions of people are taking Ozempic and Mounjaro right now, but a dark reality is starting to set in. People are hitting massive weight loss plateaus. They are losing their muscle. And worst of all, they are experiencing crippling daily exhaustion. But what if I told you there is a new investigational compound currently making waves in its phase 3 clinical trials that not only shatters every weight loss record in human history, but actually cures that exhaustion by physically turning up your resting metabolic rate? I am Sherif Elgendy, and welcome to Peptide IQ, your home for evidence-based peptide education. Today, we are looking at the undisputed king of fat loss, Retatrutide. I am going to break down the secret third receptor that makes this compound so powerful, the mind-blowing liver fat data coming out of the 2026 trials, and most importantly, my own personal experience transitioning from Mounjaro to Retatrutide. Stick around, because I am also going to explain the dangerous transition trap that is putting people in the hospital, and the scientific reason why your scale is currently lying to you about your fat loss. Quick disclaimer, I am a researcher and educator, not a doctor. This video is for educational purposes only and is based on published clinical data and personal research. Always consult a physician. Let's rebuild the engine. Let's dive in. If you want to understand why Retatrutide is a completely unique biological weapon, you have to understand why the older drugs make you feel so incredibly tired. Drugs like Ozempic target one single receptor, GLP-1. Mounjaro targets two, GLP-1 and GIP. Now, these receptors are absolutely fantastic at killing your appetite and managing your insulin. But here is the biological flaw. When you kill your appetite, you starve your body. When your body realizes it is starving, its ancient survival instinct kicks in. The body panics, slows down your thyroid, and drops your basal metabolic rate to conserve fuel. You get cold, you get tired, and eventually you hit a plateau and stop losing weight. You are just starving the engine. Enter Retatrutide. Retatrutide is a triple agonist. It hits GLP-1, GIP, and a secret third receptor called glucagon. If the first two receptors starve the engine, glucagon actually turns up the furnace. Glucagon directly signals your liver to undergo a process called hepatic lipid oxidation. It forces your liver to literally burn its own stored fat for fuel. Because glucagon forces your body to oxidize fat for energy, it completely cures that famous GLP-1 fatigue. It actually raises your resting metabolic rate, meaning you are burning more calories just sitting on a couch than you were before you took the drug. The clinical data on this is absolutely staggering. In the phase 2 trials and the ongoing phase 3 Triumph clinical program, we are seeing patients lose an average of 24.2% of their total body weight. But the most important number is the liver fat. Patients on higher doses saw an unprecedented 86% reduction in intrahepatic fat. Over 90% of patients completely normalized their liver fat. It is quite literally a biological nuke for fatty liver disease. Now, I do not just read the clinical data. I test these protocols myself. Recently, I made the transition from Tirzepatide directly to Retatrutide, alongside a heavy peptide recomposition stack. Within just weeks, I had to punch a new hole in my belt. My waist shrank by 3.5 centimeters. But here is where most people panic. When I stepped on the expensive smart scale at my gym, it told me my weight barely dropped and my visceral fat hadn't changed. Why did the scale say I didn't lose fat, even though my belt was an inch looser? Because bioelectrical impedance analysis in the smart scales lie to you. Bioelectrical impedance scales send a tiny electrical current through your body, but they cannot tell the difference between water weight, heavy muscle glycogen, and actual tissue. When you are losing pure visceral fat, but building heavy, dense muscle at the exact same time, the scale gets confused. Do not trust the scale. Visceral fat is stored directly behind your stomach muscles. If your belt size is dropping, the visceral fat is physically gone. The tape measure and your clothes never lie. Throw the scale in the closet. If you are planning to make the transition from a drug like Mounjaro to Retatrutide yourself, you must avoid what I call the Glucagon Trap. Many people transitioning from high doses of Mounjaro think they can start on a high dose of Retatrutide because their body is already used to it. That is a highly dangerous mistake. Even if your body has a high tolerance to GLP-1, your central nervous system has absolutely zero tolerance to glucagon. If you start too high, the glucagon will violently overstimulate your nervous system. It can cause tachycardia, which is a rapid racing heart rate at rest. It can also cause a neurological condition called hyperesthesia, where your skin feels incredibly sensitive to the touch, almost like a mild, invisible sunburn. You must respect the biology. You have to start at the tiny 2 milligram on-ramp dose for a full 4 weeks. This gives your heart and your nervous system the time they need to adapt to the glucagon. You might feel a little hungry during this first month as your body adjusts from the heavy Mounjaro dose. Do not panic and do not increase the dose early. Retatrutide has a half-life of 6 days, which means it slowly accumulates in your blood every week. Once you step up to the 4 milligram and 6 milligram fat-burning zones in month 2, your appetite will completely vanish and the massive shred begins. Since we are talking about starting at the tiny 2 milligram dose, I need to warn you about the giant vial trap that grey market vendors use to take your money. When you go online, you will see vendors selling massive 30 milligram or 40 milligram vials of Retatrutide. On paper, buying one giant vial looks like a great way to save money, but it is a biological trap. To inject a peptide, you must mix it with bacteriostatic water. According to strict medical guidelines, once a vial of bacteriostatic water is punctured with a needle, the sterile seal is broken. The water officially expires after 28 days. If you buy a 30 milligram vial, but you are only taking the 2 milligram starting dose, that vial will last you 15 weeks. By month 2, the water inside is no longer sterile, and the fragile peptide has degraded. You are risking painful subcutaneous infections and injecting dead, useless chemicals. Do not buy giant vials when you are starting out. Buy smaller 10 milligram vials. This guarantees that you will empty the vial well before the 28-day expiration, ensuring every single injection is 100% sterile and running at maximum potency. There is one more crucial warning I have to share from my own experience. The hypoglycemic gym crash. Retatrutide is incredibly powerful at clearing sugar out of your blood. If you try to do a heavy, intense weightlifting session on an empty stomach while taking this drug, you are going to crash hard. I experienced this firsthand. I went to the gym completely fasted. Because heavy lifting requires explosive energy, my muscles demanded glucose. But because the Retatrutide had emptied my liver's sugar vault, my brain panicked. I experienced severe exhaustion, shaking, and a complete loss of power. Here is the biohacker fix. It is called the targeted carb strategy. If you are just doing light cardio, you can do it fasted. But if you are lifting heavy weights on Retatrutide, you must eat 15 to 20 grams of fast-digesting carbohydrates about 30 minutes before your workout. Half a banana or a small handful of gummy bears. Your body will burn that sugar off in the first 10 minutes of lifting, preventing the central nervous system crash and allowing you to safely transition back into burning stored fat for the rest of your workout. There is one final brutal reality about Retatrutide. The muscle melting effect. Retatrutide kills your appetite so completely you will forget to eat. But when you starve the body to lose fat rapidly, it will also burn your hard-earned muscle for energy. If you do not fight this, you will end up weak and deflated. To survive this drug, you must treat protein as a prescription. Aim for 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily. Because your stomach empties slowly, heavy meats will make you nauseous. Rely heavily on liquid whey isolate and egg whites to hit your goals without feeling sick. Without those amino acids, Retatrutide will strip the muscle right off your frame. To wrap it up, Retatrutide fixes the fatal flaw of older weight loss drugs by adding glucagon to keep your metabolism running hot while clearing out your liver. But because Retatrutide melts fat so aggressively, it creates a brand new problem. If you are not careful, you will lose your muscle mass and you will be left with sagging skin, famously known as Ozempic face. In the next video, I am going to reveal the ultimate biohacker protocol to prevent this. I will break down the exact peptide stack, including follistatin and GHK copper, used by researchers to preserve muscle and naturally tighten loose skin from the inside out while in a massive caloric deficit. If this video brought you value, hit the like button and subscribe so you do not miss the next protocol. Drop a comment below and let me know your experience with GLP-1 fatigue, or if you have noticed your smart scale lying to you. I'm Sherif Elgendy. Stay safe, do your math, and keep optimizing.